Welcome to the Intellectual Army. It's time to put our thinking caps on because Joy Reid's presuppositions are false and they're dangerous. And here's the problem. There's a lot of people in America who think just like she does. Now, I'm not just talking about the outcomes. I'm talking about the things that produce the outcomes, AKA presuppositions, things that she believes. They're false and they're dangerous. And I want to show them to you. She was recently in an interview, and I want to walk through this interview, and I want to show you just a few of them. You gotta be aware. This is the growing trends and tides of all things. In fact, there are organizations you cannot work in unless you hold these presuppositions. There are places in our government that you can't work in unless you hold these presuppositions. There are people who won't pay you unless you hold these presuppositions. So let's take a look at these presuppositions that are so false and so dangerous. Let's see what she has to say.
Moms for Liberty activists are using booklooks.com, and it's essentially a cliff notes for books.
Yeah.
So you go through without even having to read the book. I'm going to just hold it up so our audience can see what it looks like. This is the one for All Boys Aren't Blue, which is one of the books Moms for Liberty has.
Everyone should go and see the content in this book. That's such a good idea.
And so what happens is you can do keyword searches and find certain keywords.
Like rape.
You can find sure.
Or anal rape or dildo.
You can find all sorts
those types
of keywords.
of words. But like
wait, hold on, wait. Let me finish my question.
Okay,
then
great,
you can answer.
sure.
I'm going to give you time to answer, but I got to ask you first.
No, yeah, I got the question.
And so what you find is the keywords that you find, the N word, anything, words like you just used, then you'll get out of context passages from the book. And then based on that, Moms for Liberty members are going to places like...
Stop. So here's her first kind of presupposition. What she's basically saying is, if you read a book and it has content in it, okay, what you can't do, according to her, is cite the specific content or the word, take that content or that word, and express concern, because the content or the word has a context. So what she's essentially saying is, if you're offended by a word, you really shouldn't be. And in fact, you really should consider the context, because the context may make it completely acceptable, like dildo or anal, grape, or all these types of things. I mean, it's just crazy, the thinking, but there's more.
Broward County School Board meetings, reading out of context passages from these books and then demanding that the school board remove them.
So they're reading out of context statements and then demanding that the school board remove them. And what's wrong with that? That's America. That's the beauty of America. It's called free speech. It's like you can show up to a board meeting and you can say, hey, I don't like this word in these textbooks. I want them removed. I want these words in the textbooks. They should be in there. It's called free speech, but it's so amazing that allegedly the greatest proponents of free speech are often the people who actually don't want free speech. And there's more.
So
that is the way. Yeah. The question I'm asking is, what is the expertise that you have and other Moms for Liberty advocates have to decide that a book, an award-winning book like All Boys Aren't Blue, isn't appropriate for students to read?
There's two of them here. You got to catch this. There's two of them. So she says, what's your expertise and an award-winning book? You guys got to think. Okay, first she says, who are you? You don't have a PhD in this. You can't use your brain. You can't think through this. You can't come to a decision. Don't you know that renowned authors and educators came up with this content? Do you know how much experience they have? Do you know how many letters they have behind their name? Who are you? So that's a presupposition, guys. It's false and it's dangerous. It assumes that if you're an expert, where we heard that before, then therefore you aren't to be questioned. And since they are experts, the writers of the book, and you aren't, you should just zip it and go along. You're ignorant. You're dumb. You need to be educated. And then she says, it's an award-winning book. Here's the presupposition. Anything that gets an award is moral. Anything that is publicly lauded is moral. Anything that a lot of people like or that is stamped and approved by experts and people in the know who clap about it, who are respected, it shouldn't be questioned. Don't you know that so-and-so believed that? Guys, you do know, history has shown us that just because something is legal doesn't mean it's moral. You do know that just because something's popular doesn't mean it's right. You do know experts can be wrong. You do know these things, right? But these are all presuppositions. And let's see some more. They're false and dangerous.
What a tragic story of a young man who's anally raped by his adult family member. So you have incest, rape, pedophilia. Joy, you said you'd let me answer, so
Sure.
I'm going to answer
Please
for you. In what context is a strap-on dildo acceptable for public school? Just I mean, that's my question to you. Tell me what the context around the strap-on dildo or the rape of a minor child by a teacher.
Hold on a second.
No,
wait,
we're talking about public school.
One moment.
All right.
So now you've asked me questions.
Sure.
I'm going to answer it.
Okay.
Well, who is the main character? What's the name of the main character in All Boys Are Blue?
You're asking me right now.
You just gave me very specific information about this book, so you're presenting yourself as somebody expert.
It's the gentleman.
Hold on.
Here you go again. So Joy's argument is simply this. You're not an expert. You can't even tell me who the main character is. You haven't done your research. You're so ignorant. If you only understood, if you were only like me and like others in the field, I kind of just feel sorry for you because you're just picking little things out of the book that you're concerned about, and you're running around, and you might get this amazing award-winning book by these amazing experts kicked out of school. And if that happens, people are going to suffer, and it's just such a tragedy because you don't even know the title. Is that really an argument? This is really like dangerous and false to argue this way. Instead of just arguing based on the premises, it's now like, what do you know? Let's see what else she says.
So who's the main character in the book?
The main character is the author.
What's his name?
George, I believe, is his first name.
Because you're giving me very specific information that is.
You're asking me to remember the name of an author.
You
the
just
name of the
remembered
author
very
doesn't
specific things.
Joy.
Here's my
We're
question.
talking about
Here's my
strap.
question.
You didn't answer my question.
No. I'm going to answer your
Great.
question.
I would love to hear that.
Absolutely. Well, I'm interviewing you, and you're not interviewing me. So let's just make sure it's a conversation. Okay.
Okay. So this is the last thing I want to cover in this because go on. So at the end of the day, when we won't engage in real dialogue and real debate, and we want to go after the person, and we want to say, you're not an expert, and who are you to question an award-winning book, and you don't even know the specifics, and if you just saw it in context, it would make sense, all these types of things. At the end of the day, what do they always go to? What's the trump card? What's the ace? I'm the boss. I'm the authority. You need to follow. You need to listen. You need to get in line. Or else. They do it with a smile. When all else fails, they just pull the authority card. And they just tell you, if you don't do this, if you don't believe this, then you're X and you're Y, and boom. These are dangerous and false presuppositions, and we need to see them for what they are. I hope you do. Grace and peace.